Hello and welcome to the Great TUBRING Debate, a topic that has been discussed for what feels like 2 decades behind the scenes by some of my favorite people. I'm John from Part Time Comics. You probably already know that because you're watching me on our YouTube. But I'll let these other fine gentlemen, two of my favorite people, have come to join us to talk about one of my favorite bands. Spoilers, probably definitely in my top 5 favorite bands of all times to set the bar high for you.
Damn.
Introduce yourself, Mr. Haj Gulashi, the man himself, Jimmy Christmas. How are you?
You know Haj Galashi's 2 people.
I know, but you're the Haj part, okay?
Nope, I'm Far Patrol.
Welcome.
There's no Haj on this today. Yeah, no one knows me. Let's just move on. And I like TUBRING, but man, I would not say they're my favorite. And this is no offense to them. I love them, but I didn't know you loved them that much. That's really cool.
I do. I love them so much. And another person who doesn't love them as much, probably Rich. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me. I don't listen to I never think to listen to TUBRING a lot, but as preparing for this, I was like, man, this they're even if you just wanted to listen to their vocalist, it's that's the fucking melody man. It's the amount of just small little snippet micro jams that come in those songs. Man, you could just listen to all their albums in a row and find, oh, here's another little hit. So it's good. It was nice to reappreciate.
Absolutely. Kevin is one of the best frontmans. That's part of why I like them so much. And let's just give a little background for those who don't know. TUBRING is a Chicago-based band. Actually, at this point, they've been mostly based in LA longer, so maybe they should be called an LA band. But most of
they've
their
been living there, but they haven't recorded albums there.
Right. Most of their they do now.
Well, and but come on.
Most of their formative years were here in Chicago.
Yes.
We were blessed to have them around. And I will be honest, I don't think I saw them more than once.
Really?
As much as I like
Holy
them.
shit.
And we'll talk about that as we go through why maybe that happened.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
We definitely all saw many shows together. And sometimes it doesn't work out. And that was a band that I wish I had.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
To let everybody know, we're going to be talking about the 7 full-length albums. If you're a TUBRING fan or not, try to follow along. We will not be talking about what I found out in preparation for the show is they actually have 4 recorded demos out there in the wild. I knew about Mashed Potato Eating Etiquette, and I knew about Super Sci-Fi Samurai. But in preparing for this, I did also find Music for the Bathroom, which was in 1992, and Stupid Petrix, which I believe was in 1993.
Nice.
So they were around a lot longer than I thought, even being a fan for now almost 25 years. All I'll say about the demos, and you guys, if you've listened to them, can chime in. Only one song made it out of that era, and that's Living with Renee's Head, which was on Drake Equation, which we'll talk about. I don't think I noticed any other song. I will say about the demos, the energy is there. You hear what they're going for, but it is so 90s. It's actually was very fun to visit the ones I hadn't listened to because it's rife with, samples and silly cover songs. And of course, the amazing 20 to 30 minute secret songs, which were key to any band's demo at that time.
Of course.
I don't know if you guys have listened to any of the demos or.
Well, just the Sonics and Optics, but anyway, so.
Yeah.
I was too lazy to dig up my CD copy of Super Samurai. So I do. I have that because that blows my mind. You only saw him once. So I remember the first time I saw him was I went with Ed. Ed was like, "Hey, you'd like TUBRING? They're playing Rubes." I'm like, "All right, let's go. Who's this band?"
Maybe I did see him at Rubes because
I only saw him there once. So and it was just me and Ed. I think maybe I say that, but maybe I saw him.
Earthquakes, maybe, but I definitely saw him with Dog Fashion Disco at. I don't know.
That place.
The Jägermeister show where Dog Fashion Disco was all drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that first show, I bought literally every piece of merch they had, including Super Samurai.
Cool. And I definitely
give me everything.
Turned me on to them, but I definitely didn't come in until the Drake Equation and Fermi Paradox. I think we're out in 2000.
Yeah, and that was a Drake Equation tour. And like I said, it was all Ed. Ed's like, "You'd like these dudes." I'm like, "All right, I'll take your word." And I'm like,
"Ed, find Ed and say, why didn't you invite me, Ed?
Yeah, why didn't you tell me sooner?" I was like, "Yes, I like these dudes." I will say, out of Chicago specific bands, they might be my favorite in that regard. Like bands from Chicago. I'm trying to think who else would Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, obviously, I hold Macabre in high esteem, but I can definitely understand why you might not be on the same level with them. But I hold both in very high esteem. Maybe I'm just a Chicago homer, even though they're from Downers Grove, Illinois.
I mean, I do appreciate Macabre for sure. I mean, I've seen Macabre probably more than TUBRING, to be honest.
Yeah. And then Rich mentioned Optics and Sonics. That's a B-side album, which has a lot of the demos from the early days on there, mostly. So we won't talk about that one today, but it does have a few gems. And you can, again, I think what you see there is you see the energy, you see the kind of mania that was in their early music, and it is fun to visit if you're a big fan. But I would definitely start with Drake Equation if you're new to the band.
Optics and Sonics was B-sides from the Zoo Hypothesis recording sessions.
Negative One's on there. It's got the weird one. So.
They did recordings of that and wrote a bunch there, and I think maybe re-recorded some old ones. But yeah, I didn't realize it was that tied to that era.
Which I didn't realize until recently. The title is 2 minus 3, which equals -1. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, there's a couple from pre-Zoo era, but yeah, they kind of filled the void with a B-sides album. Yeah, because they had long gaps between.
I think they might have re-record, like those are recorded versions from those sessions too. I'm not sure on that. The way they were talking about it made it seem like I watched some of the interviews.
There's definitely some finished tracks that didn't make the album. Yeah, for sure.
Well, no, even the older ones. I think they recorded some of those in that studio, which is why they all kind of sound. Yeah, they have that Zoo Hypothesis era more than the old one. But I don't know how detailed we want to get on that. But yeah, it was cool listening to that because I hadn't ever. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, so they've been around forever. I think, again, that first demo, Music from the Bathroom, was 92, even longer than I thought. And actually, I honestly thought that they were around, we were in high school, and I guess they must have been in demos and stuff, like you're saying. But again, I didn't get into them until the two, quote unquote, studio releases. So that would have been after we were out of high school. So my timeline on them is a little bit off. But I definitely think that you were the one that got me interested in them. We all kind of listened and passed around the same stuff at that time, but I remember enjoying it fondly and then kind of losing track of them until Zoo Hypothesis came out. And then we'll kind of talk about where we were all at in that time.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, that was all Ed. So thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah.
You did something good. But I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop here, because I feel like we might have some similarities as we talk about this one. So why don't we, not instead of ending on the newest album, let's talk about the newest album first. Just throw you for a little bit of a loop here, because I feel like we'll go back in chronological order, but this one is newer to all of us, and I think maybe we'll have less to say about it. So let's talk about the 2014 release, Last and First Men, which
2014.
2014, they went back. Well, they do talk about, time travel and leaving their body. They went back and re-recorded it. 2024.
We'll get that in post.
Last and First Men. No, this is all we do it live.
We'll do it live.
So I was hotly anticipating this album off of Choice of Catastrophes, which again, I know we're going out of order. I think Jim and I both were, and talking about it, and listened to it first day it dropped, and probably listened to it twice and didn't really get back to it recently. And the part of why I want to bring it up first is because that's what finally made me say, Jim, we've been talking about this for a freaking decade. Let's talk about TUBRING. I'll just start off by saying this is the only album to prepare for this that I listened to more than twice. I listened to the other ones pretty regularly in rotation anyway, but this one I wanted to really give it a fair shot this time. And I had initially texted Jim that I was pretty down on it. A track didn't jump out at me, but I feel like listening to it 3 or 4 times, there's a lot of good, especially the first 4 or 5 songs. And I just cannot get over the closer, In Tall Trees, which I did find out there's a secret alternate track on the vinyl, which pissed me off to no end that you cannot find it. So as a completist, I wasn't able to listen to that one yet. Even Reddit failed me and couldn't post the track. So
not even YouTube? You can look it up on YouTube? Do you know the name of it?
Oh, shit. It's called Enemies and Friends. It's apparently a reprise of Friends and Enemies from Great Filter.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I know, and I so badly after I saw that on Reddit, I'm like, oh, I didn't know it. So now I'm gonna have to buy Jim the vinyl and make him.
I would love to hear songs from that era that are recorded now from that era, so that excites me. We'll get into that.
And they've done that before, like you said, with -1. They kind of did a reprise version of it, which I love to no end. When they make references to old albums and lyrics, I don't know why that sends John West off to the moon. He's just like in the cosmos. This is amazing.
And they do that
whenever
a
bands
lot.
do it. They do it a lot.
I think it's a music fan thing, right? So like, not to steer us in a different direction, but the first 3 Sleep Token albums, the first song on the first album and the last song on the third album, it has it has a callback to that first song, and it's like, I don't know, it makes you feel. Made me feel more connected to things I had listened to before. So I don't know. I think you could very easily say that it's kind of like it's digging you deeper into
Absolutely
like what they've made.
They kind of have their own lore, and that's definitely when Jim kind of unveiled to me the Ghost lore, and then my buddy Ray with Sleep Token. That kind of stuff, just I love it. I love when the bands have their own kind of lore, and obviously their TUBRING references a lot of literature and other things. Like this album is part of what
the scientific theories and for the name of their album, the first.
Yeah, and that's part of what actually in preparing for this made me appreciate the album more. Once I kind of knew that it was about this book that was written in 1930 about civilizations rising and falling over millions and millions of years, and then I kind of got some of the songs a little better. That helped me appreciate it too. So there's kind of like their own lore as being TUBRING, and then what they bring in from their influences, which is I just love to no end. So
lovely concept inspired by another concept.
And I was kind of going to go with again, I feel like the album starts off hot. I think it wanes a little bit in the middle, and I also didn't really pay attention to this before this, but it is their longest album, and I think that you actually kind of feel that a little bit. And I didn't look at that before, and I was like, oh yeah, Jim and I were kind of saying it felt a little long, and there's just a couple tracks too many, which is weird, right? If you like something, you should like it, but when we're thinking of an album as a whole, I think that was the misstep with this album. There's a lot of tracks that sound like other tracks, which is fine. They kind of have their style, but they're almost too much like things they've already done. So nothing. There are some great songs, like you said. There's some bangers on here.
Oh
like you said before we started, and I love the first and last track to no end. I actually feel like TUBRING could make an album that is a good opening track and like a gentle, his soft, singing voice, a melodic, poetic song at the end, and it's just like it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I just can't get enough of that for some reason.
Well, they're very consistent with their opening tracks, and that's such a like. I appreciate that to no end. To be like, okay, we're like coming out swinging, right? But like, you can't obviously have like a good opening track and then like 9 tracks of garbage. But so it's nice to know.
Like they could, man. If they did that on my way to Mars, Tall Trees, I'm like, yes, this is so good. I love it.
But I mean, like, this song or this album is. I'll say this. I'm gonna do my discussion on 2 different things. It's gonna be what I think is the best, like where it falls in line with being a best album, and where it falls and where I like. And this is a 7 and 7 for me. I think it's their least most album to me sonically, and it's I like it the least, but I'm also not as exposed to it. Right, I've only listened to it 5 times since we started talking about this. But I mean, it's got a lot of like jams that I think are unavoidable. I think that they can't, despite you potentially being fine with a first and last and the rest is garbage. I don't think they can write an album of garbage, because like just the way that they songwrite, especially now, I think is so experienced and so unique that it's just you're gonna like there's tracks on here I'm like I don't like Spread, not a fan, don't like that song. But like Green Light and Keeping Your Memory Alive, and Fixer Upper, like those are so fucking good. And like, let's see how deep this knife can cut. It's like, so good stuff. And to me, this is, I think maybe, and take this with a grain of salt, because I'm obviously the dark horse, of course. I think this is the purest thing they've ever made, because it feels like it's because it's 2 guys who have kind of traveled through all iterations of this band, right?
Right. And they actually weren't even originally in the band. Rob Kleiner and Kevin Gibson joined this band, and then they kind of took the lead on it. over the years. So yeah, they're the two main. They did bring back quite a few people they work with, including Drake Equations drummer Mike Gilmore has been on the last 2 albums. So
Nice.
yeah, but they're the main driving force. Rob plays guitar and piano, but I think on the album he's only credited as keyboards and lyrics. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's the main. They're the main guys. Yeah, and they're the Super 8-Bit Brothers. If you listen to that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, I mean, it's it does feel like I have little I have notes for everything.
So do
I. Like the evolution of that band, I feel like there was course correction at a certain point, and I feel like that course correction kind of directed them into an area where they're like, we don't care. We're not going to try and necessarily make a TUBRING album that people are going to recognize. We're just going to do whatever we want, and some of that's just going to bleed through because it's unavoidable, right? This is the kind of music that we've been making together for 25 years or whatever.
30 years now, Jesus.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes it's like that's just the art you produce, right? And it's I appreciate them kind of going into territory that I don't think works, but that maybe they enjoy obviously enough to put on an album. But yeah, and it feels to me, it feels very pure and it feels very free.
It feels like you said, mature songwriters and know what they want to do. They have, they execute it well. You can't deny it, but I'm the same as you. I think this is the bottom for me, and that's no discredit to them. I do feel like most of the bottom, to be honest with you, 4 could probably interchange at any time. I think the top 3 for me are steps above, but it's a great album. It's like one other album we'll talk about later that took a while to grow on me. But like you said, you see the trends, you see what they're doing, and it does feel like maybe these were some songs that didn't get on Choice of Catastrophes, and that's fine too. It definitely feels like a sequel to that album more than the early stuff, but it's more of the theatrical songs, with a lot of the instrumentation and the layered vocals and the playfulness. It's a lot of that, which I love about them, but could have used 1 or 2 more, full band songs to kind of break it up. But again, I'm nitpicking. I loved it, but it is my bottom too. I don't know, Jim. Anything?
Yeah, I didn't love the album. I was coming off, like you said, Choice Catastrophes, which we'll talk about. Which, spoiler, I love that album. So I came in with really high expectations. I do feel like same way. I feel like it has a very similar vibe to what they were doing on Choice Catastrophes. Really similar instrumentation palette, a lot of horns. Production similar. Production's a little more going on. There's something about production, again, Choice Catastrophes I'll talk about that I really like. Rich, to your point, I do feel like I agree. It's like pretty straightforward, or not necessarily exactly like a TUBRING. Sorry, but it's going to be those. I got my window open.
Nice out.
But I think that really started on Great Filter too, which we'll talk about that. And to me, this almost brought back some more TUBRING from that era, but it's kind of all there. And I agree. I think there are great songs here, but I just, it being their longest, I feel it. Like this album, in the end, to me, I guess it felt like a slog. I think, like I told John, I think there's a good album in there, but there's just too many tracks. I think they're kind of filler tracks. It's kind of a theme I'm going to say a lot. As much as I like the band, I do feel, and all their albums aren't particularly long, but I feel they could be tighter, and that would raise them up in my book. One thing, I don't love the opener too, and I love their openers, and I think it's okay. I think Keeping Your Memory Alive would be a TUBRING opener that would be perfect for this album, and this is just completely personal and has no bearing on anything.
I think you're right. There's a couple on this that could be openers, but I do like the one they picked.
It's very theatrical if they're going for a theatrical.
And I think that's what the last 2 albums, what they're trying to set. We are no longer a touring band. We are having fun in the studio. Let's set that tone right away with the start of the album. But go ahead, Jim.
Sure. Yeah, I just don't think it's that strong of a song. And I guess Tiny Little is the one that set me up for their openers of the great, even though all of them are great, but that one especially, I'm like,
you can't. It's like you can't compete with that one.
Yeah,
right?
but even what Drake Equations, the robot and songs, all that stuff. I feel they started album so good, and I just kind of started off a little disappointing. So something too that I had noticed about the album art and some of the songs, I got super strong Flaming Lips vibes, like Yoshimi, which I love that album.
Sure, yeah, oh yeah,
but man, listening to interviews and them talk the hell out of this album on YouTube shit, they never mention it once. They talk about everything else, but I did kind of learn something. So the Yoshimi, I got some visuals. So like, it's blurry. It's gonna be blurry, but like you can kind of see it, and people probably know it. But it has the same exact font and layout, and the art looks very much like that.
Yeah.
Well, The Last and First Men, that sci-fi book has that font, so Yoshimi probably got it from that. And then, but there are like sonically, there's some huge similarities. Trying to think, I have it written down here somewhere. One of the songs, like straight up, I don't remember the name, but straight up ends like a Soft Bolton song. I'm like, that is like, there's no way. Like this breaks into a Flaming Lips part. So it's really surprising that the Trusted Man, that was it. And I love that song.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
like
rules.
yeah, and like there's that break at like 2 minutes 30 seconds. It kind of changes, and I'm like, that is the most Flaming Lips sounding shit ever from my favorite era. So, and then they were talking, they hired someone to do the art. So I'm like, maybe that person got inspired by Yoshimi. But I just got huge vibes from that, which in a sense, like I think bothered me more because I love that era and them so much. And I was like, this feels like a lesser version of that to me. And again, it was almost letting other biases get in the way of this album. So it just, I came into it with a lot on my mind, and it didn't have a chance from the start in a sad way. But revisiting it, yeah, there's jams, but overall, it's not something I'm going to go back to. There's just other things I'd rather listen to. I think some of the songs just kind of get messy, repetitive. I think some of them are just too long. Like they don't. Listening to them a lot over the last couple of weeks, I do love them. I think they are great songwriters. In a sense, they're great. Like quick, catchy, in and out punk rock. This is getting more towards, 4-minute songs, 5-minute songs, like a lot of them. And their songs don't really progress that much. So they progress in a sense, it might just change. Like the sound will change. But some of them just kind of end up being like, oh, this feels like it's been on a lot longer. And it's just, again, something I noticed really digging in, listening a lot. And with something like this, where I think they were going for a more complex, longer song. It works sometimes, but it didn't work all the time. I feel like I'm just super hating on this album. I don't hate it.
I think that's why I wanted to talk about it first, because I got the vibe that, this one wasn't going to be on the top of any of our lists. And again, we hold them in high regard. So that is part of the reason they set a high bar for themselves. And that's okay. You definitely are free to be honest, and that's okay. I enjoyed it, but I think in the far as the rotation goes, I will definitely be listening to it more, but it won't beat out the other 6 albums, which we'll talk about now. Now we'll go in chronological order.
Back to 2014.
Back to 2014.
2001 actually. And Drake Equation, a young John Westhoff was in his sophomore year of college. And somebody awesome, probably you, most likely you, said, man, listen to this cool ass album from the Chicago band. And yeah, the album is Drake Equation. It starts off very hot. It feels very much like the demos. It's much more, and a lot of what I'll reference today is they did a like a COVID series where they went through all the albums and talked about them. And I learned a lot about them and their band in that. So I may mention that. And you kind of feel that a lot of people describe early Talking Heads like this, that manic energy. You feel that energy. They want to make music. The songs are sometimes a little rough, a little more punk rock. And I think those first like 3 or 4 songs just set the tone very well for that era. And I just love this album. I did want to mention on the last one, we may not have a favorite track, but if we do have a favorite track for the other ones going forward, if you want to mention, my favorite track off this album is Good Food, Happy Family.
Oh, I'm surprised. I thought it'd be faster.
That's a great one too, but I don't know why. That Good Food, Happy Family is like, it's like a heavier TUBRING song, is a little like thrashier, and then I've always just enjoyed it. And again, it's like that first quarter of the album that really solidifies where they're at with these their first 2 albums as they progress into kind of a different band later in their career. But I just love it. I love the closer in God Hates Astronauts. I think that set a bar for these kind of quirky closers with a softer ending. Great opener. They set the tone for their whole music career with that robot song that will come up over and over again. We'll talk about the robot songs. So that's an amazing way to start. You're like, holy crap, this awesome robot song. Okay, what's this band about? and then it just continues from there. I did, in listening back, and I do listen to Drake Equation quite a bit, but I didn't remember how chaotic like the last third is before they get to God Taste Astronauts. It's and that may have been of their, you know, looser punk rock style era before that. But that's my only down statement about this album is that those, you know, besides God Hates Astronauts, those last 3 tracks are a little messy. And this was produced by Trey from Mr. Bungle, who they had a heavy influence on them. They get compared to Mr. Bungle a lot, and you could feel that. And that's my other thing with Drake Equation. The sound, they had a hard time kind of recording the drums for this, you know, this unique punk rocky, you know, piano band. It felt like maybe they didn't capture the sound as good, but then I also like the raw sound of it too. So I wouldn't necessarily change it, but that is one of the things about Drake where I think people might be turned off by it. It's not as clean as later albums, you know.
I think it sounds the most dated out of any of their albums.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that I have in my notes, I have little one-word things that are in there, and mine just says bungle underneath that for this album. Because they wear the influence on their sleeve this entire time. This is for this entire album. But I think heavy tubbring it thrives in gritty production. I think the production genuinely enhances this album and it being their heaviest. And I think it I think there's some stuff on Fermi Paradox that I'm like, it doesn't really hit the same way because it feels like that their second album feels so much cleaner than their first album that when there's heavier parts, it's like doesn't really hit me the same way. But this one just feels like broken speaker heavy, and like there's moments that are like, this is, man,
for sure. I remember them being this was recorded on real tape. This felt like the non-digital era recording. Yeah, for sure.
I feel this is most chaotic for sure, but I don't think it's, in my opinion, it's not the heaviest. I feel Zoo Hypothesis is a lot heavier.
Yeah, this because of the recording, like Rich is saying, I think there were songs that could have been, but you're right.
Yeah. But I feel like this is chaotic for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
And again, it's all subjective, and it doesn't mean I'm right.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I also have a difficulty in my professional life. I have to be very, you know, logical and you know, analytical. But outside of that, I'm definitely an emotional thinker by heart. So I can't separate the emotion and the feeling of, you know, finding this new band and they're from Chicago and all that. So this one may jump higher for me just because you know, it's a fondness for me.
Yeah, this album's very special. I love it, and I was way more into this style of music at the time too. Like,
for sure,
I was looking for stuff like this.
Right.
And the reality is, I think a lot of these songs are better live. Like, I think "Bite the Wax Tadpole" is like kind of far and away the best song in this album, and a lot of that is because how good it is live. Like,
nice.
That song just sets a bar live. Like, it was fantastic. So I always hear it. I just think that song is like the best they did. I think it's too long and has that break part that works great live, and it like comes back. Like, what is going on with this song? Why is it so
long?
Which
they've talked about maturing as songwriters, and that it's not always good to be clever and change the time signature in the middle and stuff like that they did early on. Which, you know, we were in a band like that too. We can relate.
Yeah.
And this one for me, I don't know if we're doing the rank. If Last Men is 7, this one is number 2 for me, which may be higher than other people.
This one is not in as far as best albums. This one's number 5 for me, but it's number 3 for one that I like.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably put it 4. I didn't really think of it as a whole. I was just kind of going to talk about either album, like all the albums. So probably 4th.
Okay.
For me, like, because I agree with you. Like, there's just some straight up obnoxious songs. Bernard's 3 Awakenings is an obnoxious fucking song. You know, live back in the day, it was fun, but that shit's like, it's grating. Downloading Satan is not listenable.
Yeah, it's not a great song. She's a Pro is okay, but you know, the joke, you know.
Again, it feels like younger people doing shit, and I appreciated those songs more back then, and again, I appreciated more live at the time. One thing I'll say, so I listened to this album not too long ago. There was a streamer who listens, like, people tell him, hey, listen to this shit and I'll react to it, and somebody picked this album.
Nice.
So it's really interesting hearing someone who's very, like, a lot younger hear this for the first time, and his whole audience who isn't super into this type of music. It was eye-opening. Nice. He was into it, but yeah, like, some of those songs at the end lost him. But one of the big things, and I think like it's to be divisive because we all love him, and I couldn't imagine TUBRING without him. Is Kevin's voice? I think it's what makes TUBRING and what makes
Without
it
question.
like
Without,
what it
yeah.
is, but it is a voice that is very distinct and not like other people's, and a lot of people just like were immediately turned off by it. He does not sound like he's not like what people normally hear. So if you're into
sure.
different things or experimental stuff, it's great, especially like if you're into metal. Like this dude can sing, like because he can.
I know. To me, I remember hearing this early on, and it felt like, to this day, it's like a punk rock. They Might be giants. He's got that nerdier, nasally voice. Yeah, which I love.
And I love it. And like I said, to me, that defines their sound just as much as like the synths and keyboards and eccentricity. But yeah, that is also, I think, like sadly, something that also held them back, or will like have held them back from certain people who don't want to get past shit like that, who will immediately make a decision based on that, which I think is a bummer.
Sure. People felt this. I don't. I get that. I get that people will have that opinion, but I've heard that same argument about System of a Down over and over again with people.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
Oh,
for sure.
Maybe we just, and people, someone who would like listen to that and go, like maybe. And when I was younger, I was victim of that too. Like that, like 43% burnt. I wanted nothing to do with because of the way the vocals sound.
Absolutely.
But
same.
So maybe it's just a younger person thing. You're a little more like you can turn it off a lot quicker. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
well, and I think it's a credit to our social group too. And I don't say lightly, you two are two of my favorite people. Part of, I feel fortunate in attaching to all these musicians and things, why I hold them in such high esteem, is because they connect me to you all, and my brother and George, for the most part, are pretty open about music. And I think some of it is right. When you're young, you're like, I don't like this. But then when you're around other people who are like, yeah, I don't know, give it a shot. And you're like, well, I like this other band he likes. You mature faster when you're around people who are more open to things, which I definitely appreciate. That's people true. Always tell me, you have such a weird music taste. And it's like, because I hung around weirdos who, we love different things. And when you hear the same thing over and over again, you get stuck in a rut. Why would I want to do that? Right. And I think, again, the credit goes to us encouraging each other and doing different things. So,
yeah, I mean, I distinctly remember making a conscious effort to get over that shit in certain situations. Like same the hardcore vocal back then, like metalcore. I didn't like it, and then I was like, "Fuck, I like this music a lot," and I kind of just got over, like at a certain point you just accept it, or you hear enough of it, or
for me it was
hear
like
maybe that one person who does it right, and then all of a sudden it clicks.
Yeah, like for me it was like falsetto vocals, like Iron Maiden and stuff. I was like, this is garbage.
Yeah,
I realized, wait, they're really actually super talented, and
yeah, I think there's definitely a path down metal that people take, and a lot of people take a similar one, and it's usually the vocals that decide that path, and the extremity of the music, but it's usually dictated by vocal. I mean, the most recent one was like I was going through genres a lot, metal genres over the last few years. Kind of haven't done it now a couple of years because I've been through a lot. But like when I finally got the power metal, and I finally just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get over that exactly, like not even Iron Maiden falsetto. I'm talking like Halloween, like straight up like operatic. And I just listened to it enough and just kind of like you just get used to it, and then you understand. I'm like, people talk about these albums is the greatest thing ever. There has to be something here, and I can't just dismiss it all because I go, that sounds corny. And I did get over it, and now I love them. So it's like sometimes you really have to just put that shit aside. But you know what? A lot of people don't want to do that and don't feel that way, and that's fine. They don't have to, but they're missing out on a lot of cool shit.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, again, I think part of his vocal style leans into his lyrics and his interest in that. I think makes it better to me.
That ain't helping either for these people,
right? They're like, hey, I'm not this nerd. I ain't
thinking about science. Like we're like, this is great.
And they obviously, this will come up over and over again, Kevin's voice, and they obviously lean into it very heavily. But you're right. Also, he can be not as refined, especially early on. So some of the things sound a little out of tune, and people aren't really willing to forgive that. And I again think it kind of adds to the fun of some of the songs. But yeah, he's an acquired taste, but I'm glad he's around and still making music.
Yeah.
Again, Drake Equation is really hard. It would be
him.
very hard to dethrone Drake Equation. Again, I think that's more nostalgia for me, but there is another album that comes very, very, very extremely close. But let's continue on in order, and that is Fermi Paradox, which again, coming out, got this album pretty close to its release time, if I remember correctly. And again, they come out hot on this album. It's much of the era, but we're starting to see the transition into the later era. A lot more of what I love about TUBRING is like kind of their interlude songs, like you mentioned with First and Last Men, the kind of playful, operatic, poetic, whatever you want to call it, where they're maybe not even a full song and they know kind of when to cut off the hook. You know, it's a minute and a half, it's 2 minutes. And that's highlighted on this album, which I know is a song Rich loves. We used to talk about all the time back in the day, and that's -1, being the first one of those kind of unique song, not song. It again almost feels like an interlude or a bridge on the album, and I just love those to death. They do them so well. But there's a lot to love on this album, including the opener is amazing. The whole beginning of the album is amazing again. And then
another one. I love the opener, but I feel Invalid would have been a better opener. Just saying, just throwing it out there. This is me being producer again.
No, that makes sense. They might have not like understood that they can put the robot song not in the beginning.
Oh no, that Kevin had said he's like, I fought for robot songs to be first till I finally let it go.
Yeah.
There you go. That doesn't happen, spoilers, until the next album. So you see,
yeah.
I like
this 100% being, that was a choice. Yeah.
I like this being the robot era and them coming out firing on both albums. And we'll talk about the robot songs. If people don't know, there's 4 in their collection. I wish there was more, but they're definitely very in tune with the cybernetics and all that stuff. It's a huge theme in all the albums. All these albums, again, the first 4 albums are about the titles are theories on intergalactic life, intelligence that might be out there, and then we'll talk about some of the other album heads. So this one, again, the Fermi Paradox, is also about that as well, and those themes are pretty heavy throughout the album. I love this album, and I don't know why I put it kind of in the middle, like you guys were saying with Drake Equation. I think that it's definitely still up there as a great album. -1 being my favorite track. But some of the later tracks again on this one don't hit as well, even though again, there's very few TUBRING tracks that I feel like I reach to skip. As I said, I hold them in such high regard, but you definitely feel the transition into that later era in this album.
Sure.
A lot of the catchier songs, a lot of the quote unquote, what we would call their radio hits start to come along. And I like that. It's like, oh, this is like super catchy and this is cool. And then again, they lean into that as they go more. So this definitely feels like the bridge album to Zoo Hypothesis, but I don't think we should,
Well, they've said they don't like songs on this album. They put songs on there knowing they didn't like them, and they don't really overall like this album that much.
Yeah. And I thought they had said that there wasn't, like, sometimes you go into the studio with 20 tracks, so you can get down to 11. And, that happens. Sometimes you put one you don't like.
That's what an interesting way. Like, I don't know. And maybe it's because of like what I'm doing now musically, but like just going in with all these songs and having to like filter it down as opposed to just being like, nope, this is not going to work. Just going in with like, let's remove this from the track list is not even being an option to put on the album, because like I'd rather put out again, this is me now and not them then, but like I'd rather put out a 5-song album of a 5-song collection of things that I'm like, all of these work together, I think, or at least I like them very much as songs, then like I'm writing some filler songs to make track lists or whatever.
I mean, maybe they talked, like, I know on Zoo Hypothesis, the producer at the time, kind of helped them develop some songs in studio. So there's a couple different reasons you do that.
Well, and I'm sure
you think it's going to be good.
Obligation.
Yep, and
like,
then
they were on a label, and to be an LP, it needs to be like 38 minutes and above.
Exactly, and that's
to legally be an LP, and they needed to release an LP, not an EP.
Sure, and it's funny you mentioned that because most of their albums they hover right around that 38-minute mark, so you can tell that there might have been some of that, which is funny.
Yeah, I agree, but this is one.
Great. I like when they kind of get experimental with some of it. So even though I might not like some songs, this is a band where I'm happy they all exist in totality. Because again, I think that builds on the whole lore and mythos to TUBRING. But I would put this one at 4. Again, you don't have to rank the albums, but if anybody's keeping track at home, this one's right in the middle for me. But I still feel like those bottom 4 albums could change at any time. And I love this album. -1 being my favorite track, reminds me of Rich.
It's a very good track.
I think we used to play it or something at practice, goofing around, but I like that one.
Oh yeah. This album for me is a 2 and a 2. I think as far as like cohesive albums start to finish, things that feel like they all like tracks that feel like they're selected, that fall within a specific like sonic vibe, or even like some sort of blanket thematics, and that I like. This was my TUBRING album. Like when we were listening to him, like Drake Equation was one that what Jim introduced me to, and Bite the Wax Tadpole, like that song is TUBRING to me. But as far as albums go, this is the one that I'm like, oh, it's coming out. I'm buying this as it's coming out, or like right after it came out, or whatever it was. And I remember listening to this one a lot when I had first got my hands onto it. So yeah, so it's part of it might be nostalgia, part of it might be like there's legitimacy behind that. But yeah, it's 2 and 2 for me.
That makes so much sense to me now. You helped solve something that was going on in my brain. I was listening. I never I didn't own this one, so I didn't listen to it as much at the time. I wasn't as into it. It's like it's a little more straightforward, just different sound, production wise. I just was kind of like, it's not what I want. Just whatever for whatever, just kind of being a butt about it. But I was listening to this. I'm like, why do I know so many of these songs? These songs are really good because you were playing it a lot, and I was listening to it and digesting it, and enjoying it. Because I know I wasn't putting it on, but I knew. So revisiting, I was like, oh, I like this way more than in my memory. This has so many good songs.
And I feel like the band would love that you like this album through subconscious, sublimation from Rich. Like played it, and it came stuck into your brain.
They became better songwriters for sure. The choruses are better. Like shit's just sticky in a good song way. The song structures are better. It's them finding their sound more than just kind of jamming every genre and sounding too much like bungle in reality.
And at some point they sat down before this album and said it's okay to have catchy hooks. That's what people like about it.
yeah and to me it's like their punk rock sound comes out way more in this, because they like those old demos. I mean, they're basically just like they started as really just a punk rock band straight up.
For sure.
And I feel like they revisit that a lot more, and that kind of carries on throughout, where that was there a bit on Drake Equation, obviously that mentality, but like straight up just like Futures Free is a punk song with some keyboard parts.
So good.
But yeah, again, it's another one where I'm like, I would cut the fat. I get like Can't to a point if it's still an album, but like Psychology is BS, I think, is just an incredibly boring song. Which
I love that song.
Rob just said now, he's like, I completely disagree with it now. He's like, no, I think it's quite the opposite. I think Psychology's great, which is funny.
But that's what I like about it, that I feel like it's a little sarcastic or
yeah, the lyric idea is funny, but as a song, I just think it like goes nowhere. Like nothing happens. And Living with Renee's Hat as well. Like I just think that's just like a mashup of like derivative parts, like that funk breakdown. It just sounds like corny. Like there's the things I don't like, and what is I have Fall Back and Panic. There's just forgettable songs to me, or songs that annoy me. But the highs are high, and the lows I think are low. But yeah, like a lot of there is a lot of their albums, like that's my problem. Like I would cut 2 to 3 songs and then it's like a perfect album, which is fine. That's fair. No, I appreciate, and it's not like I hate them, but like some of them I really just don't want to hear. But like I said, the ones I do want to hear, I think the first handful of tracks are just so good.
Yeah, they always start off hot, but again, I wouldn't take any tracks out. I like them all for different reasons. Again, part of that is probably just because it's been part of my life for 25 years and I can't get past it. But they continue the trend. Now they're going all in on the poetic closer song that I love. This will be one of many songs I demand you all play at my funeral if I die before you. TUBRING has multiple songs like this, which we'll go into the next one. Kind of leads to their sound.
Alexander's in charge.
Alexander is in charge. Is the song. No, on the way to Mars. Again, talking about space and spirituality and leaving your body and all that stuff. Was super into it, and I love it, and love that song. So I think it was, again, the theme here is that if you have a good opener and a soft poetic closer, John's gonna like it, and this continues on. So,
sure.
But a lot of this led to, and at the time, Rich, I thought, oh God, this is the TUBRING album. They got a robot song. They come out. They're all amazing until I kind of lost track of them. They didn't put out an album for a couple of years, and some amazing bearded fellow came up to me and said, "Did you know TUBRING had a new album?" And Jim said, "Yeah, I'll get it to you." And I was like, ironically enough, Zoo Hypothesis in 2004, I was the only album I never owned until they went all digital, because I'm a bad pirating person, and I apologize. TUBRING, I'll make up for that at a later time. Which is super ironic because I'll just spoil it right now. This is my favorite album of theirs. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. I could talk about this album to death. The intro you spoiled already, Jim, is one of the best opening tracks. It sets the tone for their whole era. After this, Tiny Little is so amazing. And the closing track, Vehicle, it's just a time of my life when things were tumultuous. And I always kind of came back to that song. And that's what really made me fall in love with the tracks they do, like, the little more instrumental type of tracks that they do. But everything in between, I love as well. There's very few on this that I would skip over. I go back to this album constantly. This is the one that keeps me, re-listening to TUBRING over and over and over again. I just think this album is perfection.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Tell me why I'm wrong.
You're not.
Can't.
And like I said, I remember when I like first hearing Promise Keeper, I was like, they fucking went real heavy. And that's why I say, like, I feel it's the heaviest one. It's just the most, like, songs are just aggressive, like beyond, especially like Kevin's vocal, beyond what they were doing before. I remember this first thing that like stuck out to me. I was like, damn, they sound pissed.
Oh, you're definitely right. The scream,
and it was just cool.
Sharpening your sticks, Dog Doesn't Bite. There's so many, like, you're right. I don't think of them as heavy, but aggressive is a good term for it.
Yeah. It just had an edge to it, and the album in general does. It's not as warm sounding production wise. Hearing them talk, the producers added a ton of this. They like worked on. They were basic collaborators on it. It's the first digital album they did, and they had all kinds of shit with that. Really cool hearing them talk about this. I mean, the only song I would ditch is Sharpening the Sticks. Never loved it. I think it gets real show tuney and weird. That's one that, like, I can ditch that one, and then I'd say it's close to perfect. Ditch that one; it is perfect. But yeah, it doesn't bring it down at all. It's tight 40 minutes, and it's a fantastic album. And Zoo Hypothesis and Drake Equation are two possible answers to the Fermi paradox. That was the whole thing with those three albums.
Sure.
And this is that somebody put us here, and we're in like a zoo, right? If I understand it.
Yeah.
And I definitely align with that. If that might be the most
cosmic
likely,
zoo.
the mice. But this one, it has a lot of the good interlude songs. Night Watch is one of my favorite songs because it's just kind of this weird song about, night.
Yeah, that whole middle part was done by the producers. They didn't even know. They like did that all on their own and sent it to them, and they were like, "This is amazing. We're keeping that." Like that whole like weird interlude part in the middle of that song.
And
it's really cool.
I heard the producers also did the part where they play the sample from the earlier albums.
Yeah, what's the Wealth of Information? Yeah, that started that. Yeah.
And oh man, again, that just sent John West off to the moon when he heard it. He was like, holy shit. I think I remember texting or I don't know what we were doing at the time. IMing Jim, like, this is a rock opera. They're referencing back their songs. And like I just loved it, and I still love it to this day.
And the part at the end of Promise Keeper where it's like cut up, like glitchy, they pieced that together from words from Invalid. That wasn't even like lyrics. They like took words and pieced him saying that together in different.
And that's the one I meant where he's like, again, this is where they start doing the callbacks to their older songs and themes.
So cool.
And If I Was Wise, I'd See a Trend is one that comes up a lot. So much to learn, so far to go. They do in a bunch of songs. So there's all these, philosophical statements that they make throughout. And this one, this is where it really started.
And a robot song.
And an awesome robot song with the death of the robot. So they kept that rolling too.
This for me, as far as like rating goes, I think it's their third best as an album, but it's 100% my favorite. It's I wrote just underneath, I wrote Bucket of Fun. It's just it's just chaos. And like I remember when I first heard this album, like there's nothing they can't do, because like there's so much on this album, and it's all strung together in a way that like everything feels, or majority of it feels so completely detached, but like there is that underlying of them. Like it might be the vocal, it might be just the generic songwriting, but like there's all of this feels like it's just chaos that is this album. That nothing feels forced to me in this. It feels like it was like, oh, this is just chaos, not for chaos sake. It feels like there felt
like all that chaos theory came together.
Well, Rob put it best. He's like, this is where we stopped trying to put as many genres in a song, and we tried putting different sounds into a song.
Yeah,
that makes so much
perfect.
sense.
Yeah,
totally.
And Raindrops was originally supposed to be on Drake Equation, but because Numbers was on there, they thought it sounded too similar, so they never recorded it. They only had a demo.
I was going to say some of these felt like callbacks to the first two albums, maybe got cut earlier, so I could definitely see Raindrops, because that one's a little bit more of that sound. But again, for some reason, this all works as the bridge between later TUBRING, earlier TUBRING. This is like the perfect
it's everything.
through way. And I think they said the same thing on their, their live chats. That, they both agreed this is number one for them.
Well, Kevin liked it the best. Rob thought it was 3.
Oh, I didn't realize he was that low.
So both my numbers.
Oh, I think he likes it. Yeah,
but I'd put this as 2.
Oh my goodness,
that is interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting. Things are getting interesting in the chat. But yeah, this one I could talk about forever, so I'll try not to bore.
Please
everybody.
do that for a little longer because I'm going to grab a beverage.
I was actually going to go too, but we'll leave it up to Rich to entertain the chat.
I got a fun joke. It's called "Watch Me Do the Same Thing," but it'll take way less time because my fridge is right here. You see, I'm still here, and my fridge is right here, and I'm back first because my fridge is right there. That's the benefit of having a small fridge in a small room, is that you can go grab a new beverage before everyone else does. You leave before they leave. You come back before they come back. Small fridge in a room. Recommended to everybody.
I don't need no goddamn fridge in my room. If I had stairs, I would. I get it. You have stairs. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
My place ain't that big. I can't be that lazy.
Understandable. It was more so, I bought this fridge for this room because in our old apartment, we had a small 70s style fridge, like a cube fridge, like an older style, like a good fridge. And for the most part, the entire bottom shelf I would claim for my beverages.
Beers, yeah.
And it wasn't even like it was beers, but it was also like Powerades and shit like that. And as soon as we got in the house, I'm like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna buy a fridge that's just for that shit. And which is great because our fridge is full. Just but based on like the amount of human food that Katie likes to eat. So it worked out really well for everybody.
As opposed to non-human food.
As opposed to all the frozen horse shit that I eat.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Fair enough.
Hey,
Whole food, we call it.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry for the brief interlude. We got quite a few watchers, so thanks for everybody for tuning in. If you've heard TUBRING, drop it in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube,
if you haven't heard TUBRING, fucking listen to him. What are you doing?
Fucking listen to him and then come back to this and be like, "Oh, you guys are all wrong. You're stupid."
You're fucking up. Yeah.
But
you're
if anything we talk about tonight, this one album, I'm so glad it exists. Especially the song "Vehicle." Again, whenever I'm having a rough time, come back to that song. It kind of centers me, brings me back down to earth. The subject matter of the song of kind of leaving your body, your vessel, your body as a vessel. I thought
it was about owning a car.
It was about owning a sea vessel, actually. But that's going into the next album, which I believe was 2007's The Great Filter. Again,
what kind of transition is that? Sea vessels. Is this a song about an album about sea vessels?
Watch me see me talk about this new one.
See me talk about this.
I like what you did there, but it just confused me.
Which again, you have to forgive me. This is the first drink I've had, and so I'm gonna get a little loopy.
Do it. Do it.
But this is another one where I kind of lost track of them. There was a while between albums. I don't think they were really touring. I think I did end up seeing them on support for this album or the next. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they played Beat Kitchen like one last time around this, and then 8-Bit Brothers. Remember they played, and then they did a set with 8-Bit Brothers.
Yeah, I definitely saw. I feel like it was the Beat Kitchen where I saw him.
Yeah. That's the last time I saw him was there. It was that show.
And I don't remember how I came across this album, but I was like, "Oh, TUBRING has a new album. Let me check it out." And this one, like, just to jump into it, like. Last and First Men. I was down on this album when I first heard it, and some of that is the production, which I'm sure you guys might agree with. It feels flat. It feels like when the parts should be louder, it's like it's mixed strangely, and I think that looking back on it, that's kind of what turned me off of it. But again, this is one like the new album where I came back to it, and now I come back to it pretty regularly, and there are some gems on here, but this one is definitely fighting for the lowest spot for me, which again, for most of the albums could be interchanged. But I do like this album. There's a lot of songs on it that I go back to. It again grew on me over time. Again, it just feels kind of muted, like songs like Life in Transition or Friends and Enemies. Like they wanted to master it differently, like the later albums. Again, you don't have to blow people's eardrums out, but when you feel like there's a transition into like a louder, heavier part, it shouldn't sound so flat. But yeah, Get Help Now, The Truth, all those songs, they feel like they were just kind of just doing something different in the studio with their sound and things like that. But there's so many gems on here. My favorite song is 7 Exodus, which for some reason I feel like it's about a politician like Barack Obama or something like that. I don't know why I feel like that, but that's definitely the highlight track for me. This one has an okay opener, so they kind of broke the trend here, and a great closer. I love the closer on this album, but I'll be honest, again, with such a high bar set by Zoo Hypothesis, I don't know what they could have done to make me like this album at first. So I think kind of my bad feelings kind of stunk around for a while, and then I finally got over myself and said, no, there's some great songs on here. You see where they're headed in their career. What do you guys think?
This is an album. Well, I'll say out the gate, I 100% disagree with you on Friends and Enemies, but that's my second favorite opening track of all their albums. This is an album that I would just listen to Friends and Enemies, and I would just listen to No One Wants to Play. I would listen to those two songs, and I was like, and I'm out.
And I don't know what song I would replace with. I like the song Friends and Enemy. I just felt like, again, it comes out a little flat to open after you had tracks like Tiny Little and the robot songs, and you're like,
it's way different. But like, so I think Friends and Enemies as an opener for this album is extremely appropriate because of the way that they have changed how this is the album. So I'll say out the gate, as far as like best and like, I think this is their best album. And this is not,
you are always the rogue. I like it.
and it's my fifth favorite, right? So I think
that's like, interesting. So far apart though.
As far as because and it might just be because I would just listen to those songs and that was it, right? And now that I've like in preparation for this, I'm like, oh no, this album is extremely good. Just songwriting, right? Regardless of what you feel about like the songs themselves, I think from front to back, it's like, oh, this is their most cohesive album is as far as it goes. And I do feel like it's a huge, it's like I wrote softening as far as like their sound, but I mean, softening is not appropriate. I would say it's probably closer to focusing their sound on something kind of specific, and then like digging deep into it.
When you look at songs like Killers in Love and No One Wants to Play, those felt like what we were talking about with the last album. They were starting with the hits, the radio hits.
Sure, yeah.
And this one does feel like it's packed with those songs, which are good. I love the album, but it's so interesting to hear it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that might be part of the reason why, even though now that I know that after have listened to it a bunch in the past couple of days, I now have a much better appreciation for it. I still don't know if like I would kind of if I would throw it in the pile of like, these are the songs that I would like pull off this album, and it being like, more than 5 or whatever, aside from Friends and Enemies and No One Wants to Play, because like those songs I don't know why, like those are the songs that I would just like, I drilled and I was like, okay, put it on here, this one, and off to the next album. So maybe with more listens, I might get more out of those I could pull and put in those in that same kind of pile. But I
mean, that's how it was for me, but I definitely don't put this one on as often, but every once in a while I get a taste for it. And yeah, like When the Crash Happened feels like it was maybe the only song that they took from an older album or something and shoved in here. But you're right. It's very much, this is I don't even want to say commercial, but we're just trying to, we're trying to make good songs. We're like, here's some good songs. And you're right. It signals their transition into the later from Zoo Hypothesis. Now we're really solidly into, we know how to make songs. We know how to write together, and we're going to do that and do it well.
Sure. Yeah. That's my opinion.
So one thing I think that shapes a lot of this is they did that MTV Battle of the Bands thing.
Yep.
And apparently, like, I think, and I don't know how I didn't watch their interviews, but people, like, I read some stuff that's kind of the reason why they stayed together, is they got signed off the End Records, and this is their first album for that, based on that, like being on that. Mm-hmm. But I think they were going to end the band, and then they decided to do it. So this is their first album on that new label, and maybe that label had a producer they wanted to work with or something. And as far as them, they said they were listening to a lot of rock, so they just wanted to write a rock album.
Yeah.
So like they knew it was going to be straightforward. But yeah, as far as like the Great Filler is more like it, right? Huh? I had to say
these are not the filler songs. I feel like these are the.
No, not at all. I'm gonna like. I was nodding a lot when we were just talking because I have a lot of the same sentiments. I think it's some of their best songwriting by far. It's just what sucks is how I think the production, like you said, John, is terrible. Like I think Friends and Enemies is again, yeah, one of their best openers. That song is so good, but God, it should sound huge and epic, and it would be amazing. Instead, like the strings are barely audible; they go in and out. They're fighting
and making
with
no sound at all is like that too. Like his vocals should be, you know, and then it sounds quiet.
Yeah, and then the guitars are real brittle, and they kind of fade into everything else. It's a bummer because that song is so good, and it just gets like you can hear what they wanted, and to me, like they came so far from hitting the mark on it. Like not them, the production. I'd say my biggest thing, it sounds muddy. Like the whole thing sounds muddy. Like I wrote on here, Get Help sounds like it was recorded through a wall of pudding. It's like the only way to explain it. Like what the hell is going on that song? It doesn't make sense. Like hearing it, it's bizarre. But yeah, like it's just a bummer because I find like I never really listened to it much either. I was kind of checked out. But yeah, revisiting now, I was like, these songs are so good. This is like
I agree. I'm very glad it exists, but I do have problems with it. And we've talked about remasters before. I don't like remasters, but this is one I would like if it's a possibility.
Really?
Give it another tweak.
I think remasters can kind of suck. Like I haven't heard many that are better. I've heard a lot that are worse. Like the Tom Waits ones destroyed those albums, and now that's all you can.
Oh my
get
god, have you heard the Noir ones? Megadeth? Oh, horrible.
Yeah,
but sometimes it's just a matter of like they do with the Sabbath ones, where they just kind of bring the sound a little clear. Yeah. Don't.
Some could be not different. I don't even know. I don't know if mastering would do anything for this. Like I said, that mixing on that shit's all over the place. Like, I just I don't know what could be done there.
I still love it. I love the last song. Again, I think they kind of throw in there. Okay, here's our our playful song to end, and then I love when they kind of go into that area.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very much like a riff album too, which a lot of their albums aren't up till this point. And there's so many great riffs on there.
There's
which
so
is
many.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes, where Rob kind of steps out a little bit, or they've changed guitarists a few times. They kind of, you're right. You're definitely right about that.
Yeah, and No One Wants to Play is great. Great closer. Again, another one that I would cut a few tracks, and then it would be like, even if it had better production, there's some tracks I would cut. Sure. But yeah, it's a bummer. If this thing sounded better, it would be like one of my favorites. But instead, it's not, and not something I really want to revisit.
Not something I look at often, but I do think this is their second longest. So again, maybe we're seeing a trend where one or two tracks too long.
Yeah, like and just in general, their sound is a sound that I love, but I only want it so long. It can it can bleed together. I can just kind of be done with it at a certain point. So I have, the longer the album goes, the longer the song is at the end. I just start having less tolerance because again, it can be kind of an assault too. Like there's a lot going on. So. But yeah, to me, this one was a bummer revisiting it because I liked it more than I remember, but I wanted to like it more.
I was neck and neck with this one and the new album, but I do think maybe eventually the new one might squeeze past it after I have more time with it. And this one, it's kind of been on not my most favorite, but again, love them all. Love that they all exist. There is a little bit of a theme from this one. Again, they talk, the title is, about extraterrestrial intelligence. The next album, Secret Handshakes, they finally break from that. And I could not find what this one was. The last two albums and the first four have a trend, but this one, it was
Great Filter is like very much right in line with the other ones. It's another explanation to the framing paradox. So it like 100% is in line with those.
No, Great Filter is, but the next one, Secret Handshakes, they break from it, and then they go back to the theme with 6 and 7. So funny.
No, well, the 6 and 7 are just now sci-fi novels. That's the new theme. Yeah, but they're not like they're not like SETI, like the other ones. They call them like SETI explanations. They're like,
but the last two
getting into that nerdy shit.
Yeah, he was, and I love it. And the last two are very much about, how life will end and apocalypse and stuff like that. So that's their kind of theme. Yep. But Secret Handshakes, I don't know if they gave it that because there was, this came out. I did pick this one up online. I just happened to see that they had a new album. It had one of the first ever downloads. So I don't know if that was why they called it Secret Handshakes, because you could put it in your CD drive and put it on your computer. That was the trend at the time. I don't know. I couldn't find anything about where they got the name for this one and why it doesn't. it bucks the trend that they set with the other 4 and then the later 2. But this one I felt like was a return to form. I love so many songs on this album. Again, it's kind of solidly in the middle, probably number 4 or 5 for me. But I think there's a good opening track and just an okay closing track, which again, as we've stated, this would bring it down in the Westhoff voting poll. So I think that hurts it a little bit. I think that there's a lot of songs that are some of my favorite. Burn is my favorite song on this. It's again one of their heavier ones, which has been a theme for me. And I love that song. I love Cryonic Love Song and the theme of that, the lyrics of that. Mm-hmm. This one has a trend from the last album where they have Get Help now and they'll Stop This Now. They kind of started a new trend now that they've broken away. From
so much better.
It is so much better, and a good brother to the first song. But yeah, I do really like this album. I felt like one of their best covers is on here in Flash, one of the few covers that they do that I actually put on and listened to. That was really cool to see. But this one felt.
I have an aside about Flash. So I watched the interview, the thing they did where they talked about this album because I wanted to. There's a very specific song I wanted to know what it was about, and Flash is right before it. And then they went over. There was some dude on the Amazon. They brought it up who he did an Amazon review and he just writes this huge thing about how terrible that song is and how horrible they are and everything. And they're like, this guy's an idiot. This song's just fun. Does he just hate fun? It's so funny. This guy's mad about their cover of Flash.
That's hilarious. And we can talk about the next song. They did explain that, but I think one of the only reasons this one gets brought up just a little bit for me because Kevin Gibson has a sea of amazing, lyrics and turns of phrases. And for some reason it's in Bird of a Different Color when he says your brain made a choice, discuss it with your skeleton. That is my favorite lyric he's ever written. And I just love that. And that brings this album up one little notch for me. Just
Nice. For me, it's 4 and 4 as far as I think 4 and best, 4 I like. Cryonic Love Song. That's one that when I was revisiting it when it came on, it was just hit. I'm like, oh yeah, it brought me back to when I'm originally listening to it. Nice. And under here, I wrote under one of my notes, I wrote correction. So to me, this album does feel like, okay, we just did this thing.
Gotcha.
Now
course corrected, yeah,
a little bit, but more of the sake of okay, let's we did that. We did what is.
Let's get back to doing what we do.
Let's maybe try and dig our sound toe into a different sand and see if you can start to kind of explore some slightly different sonic stuff to their early stuff, because it obviously isn't as chaotic as it originally was, but kind of get more into the experimental digital sound of stuff.
Yep. I agree.
And I think for this discussion, we can just refer to it as Horse. Do you have information about that song? Because I need to know.
I do. Oh, do you want to
go
ahead?
Okay. Well, yeah. So Rob told the story today. It had to do with he was in. He's when you're on tour and you go in a place, you go in the female bathroom before they're open because it's cleaner. He's I was in one taking a shit. And this whole long story from some guy wrote to this girl in this place on the wall and scribbled this story about how you're terrible and blah, blah, blah. And at the end, he wrote PS and he wrote the title.
Yeah.
And he's I just read that and I was so shocked and it made me feel a certain way. So I wanted to use that in a track. And this is where it gets, I think, kind of dumb. He says, he basically just wanted to evoke that same shock emotion. But then he's which I think is dumb and lazy. And he's yeah, people called me out on it. This is where I think it's kind of bullshit, his explanation, because he's it's not me saying it. I was just quoting something. You're quoting something on the wall that nobody knows. You're now saying it. It's your song. He's really defensive in a weird way. I'm that's a bizarre way to look at it.
Yeah, and he's probably gotten so much flack. I don't know how he feels about it, but you're right. They could have
own it better. Don't he deflected, right. To deflect. There's no way any of us listening to this would know that. There's no way any of us would know that story.
What was this?
So I'm not surprised that people are asking you. Don't be I didn't say it. It's a quote that I quoted that his explanation just kind of came off and like it's just shocking. And he's like, it's art. Art's supposed to be shocking. Art can be shocking, I feel, or supposed to be when it says something or adds something to the conversation. It's not doing any of that because we don't know that it was this thing in the bathroom made you feel that way. It's just a shocking word that you used.
Right. And even in 2010,
So.
I think we should know better.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Made me like it less, like if that's possible. I was like, that's the like thinnest. I expected a little better explanation out of him. He was real defensive and weird about it.
Yeah, I didn't remember that it was written. I thought it was somebody said it to him that was intoxicated or something. But yeah, basically they were like, hey, I'm quoting it. So yeah, I don't know. You could do a better job with that.
I think the quoting it is perfectly acceptable, but I think you need to approach it from, here's a crazy thing that I saw / read, and it's like, here's just what is out there in the world, as opposed to like trying to chalk it up to art. I think maybe the sentiment is appropriate, but like maybe the defense is way wrong, because like that, because when I first heard, when I saw it, I'm like, this has to be a story. Like he read something in a magazine or he read it in the paper, and that's a fucking crazy thing for anyone to say, because like, what? And then in second for like, I full force understand being shook by reading that and like trying to decipher what it is.
100%.
But without question, you should be like, I've read a crazy thing and I couldn't get it out of my brain, so I had to make it into a song.
Yeah, like, making a song again. Yeah, that maybe tells that story better or adds something to the kind something. Sure, like I said, in the quote thing, what bugs me is just how he said it. I didn't say that. It was just a quote. We have no way to know that, brother. You said it. Like that's
without
not
question.
real.
Without
question.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not like the song is okay, but it's not like, you know, they couldn't have just said, let's skip this one. You know,
strange, bizarre.
It's clever enough. You know, you're kind of like, what is this weird story? You know,
that's what it is. It's intriguing. It's like, why are those words together? Why did you string the sentence together? I need to know why you strung the sentence together.
It made me think it was something that they encountered, like somebody was like said that to them and they went through some shit.
Yeah, like something that was like,
yeah, which we've done a million times. Like somebody says something stupid, oh, that's the name of a song. But
they also turning it back on them and empowering it. But that's not that at all.
And it's also, you know, again, it's 2010 at the time. You could edit it out. For those who don't know, they used the derogatory word for homosexuals in the name of a song. And it's I shot your F horse bitch. Again, there's ways you can kind of, you know, soften that a little bit and not make it seem like you know, again, it's still up on their streaming where it says it and it's like, you know, what age are we in here now? But that's one of my disappointments with the band. Again, the song is clever enough and you know, cute enough, but didn't need to really be on the album.
I full force, but just explain that it's crazy. It's a crazy thing. Like I'm fine with him saying it in the context of it being, oh, this is a crazy thing. This is a crazy sentence that I know. I know, so I have to get it out into the world. But
you must 100% that I read,
with like explain, like, don't. I wouldn't never chuck
that one on a B-side track or something, you know, with let people figure it out. I don't know.
This is Rob's favorite album.
Oh yeah, really? Huh?
Yeah. He said to him it was the most all-encompassing of TUBRING, which I don't like. Who am I to tell him? But I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't know. I think to Rich's point, I think it hits on some of their older stuff and then the transition to later stuff. But I think
to me, it's the most 8-Bit Brothers came into TUBRING.
Yeah, this is probably when him and Rob really broke off. I think, again, this is the era where they're not a touring band anymore, and they're probably writing songs and talking about things and then bringing in musicians to kind of fill the gaps. You can definitely feel that in these.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Just, like I love self-influence. I love when like someone's doing something else and it bleeds into a different project of theirs, and it's like, oh, this is clearly not the most important thing that you're doing right now.
Well, and it's inevitable, right? When you kind of musical soulmates and you're doing music together for 30 years, you might have some crossover, some running out of ideas. Yeah.
And Rich, I don't know if you were done. I didn't want to step on your discussion.
No, that's all I had to say about that. I just, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Needed to know like why that.
No,
sentence
yeah, I did
exists.
too. That's why I had been looking and I was like, oh yeah, they had these there on YouTube. He has to talk about. They're talking about track by track. Let me watch that. So I just watched it today, and finally, because I had the same thing. I was like, I need to know.
I'm not somebody who really seeks out. Like I said, I watched the live Facebook thing they did, which was fun. But I don't tend to chase down information on things that I kind of revere out of fear of never meet your heroes.
I don't, and I hadn't for this until like we're talking about it, and then I'm like, no, I want to know. I know it's fun.
Yeah.
Like,
I appreciate the feedback. We all kind of went at this a different way. It's
fun. It was cool, like diving headfirst into it.
Speaking of diving headfirst, I think we've been down a little bit. Zoo Hypothesis set the bar high. Gray Filter had its issues. Secret Handshakes was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I felt like it was better than Gray Filter. I'm riding high on them, but we have a long gap now, 7 years.
I didn't even talk about Secret Handshakes, brother.
Oh, go ahead.
Gonna skip my thought. It's fine.
I thought you kind of snuck it in with the.
No. I was gonna say I literally had never listened to this whole album until just now.
Like, that's very interesting.
Like that's how checked out on TUBRING I kind of was after Great Filter, and I listened to I remember hearing a couple tracks of this and being like, they're still not doing things that I enjoy. Just kind of moving on. 2010? Yeah. Fuck, I was probably just at that point. Yeah, I was super steeped into like indie shit and like maybe even getting kind of out of that. So I don't know. It was just kind of wasn't what I wanted to hear. So I'll say when I revisited, I was like, oh, I like this way more than I remember. I ended up liking it a lot. So like this is one I'm gonna listen to now, and I'm kind of bummed that I didn't for as long as I did. Like Goldfinger, what a goofy dumb song, and it's like
that one took a long time
so
to grow
fun though. I just love that like clanky percussion.
Where Rob sings on that one, right? Sometimes those tracks.
I think so, yeah. Well, and it's like I thought it was like very Tom Waitsy, and he is into Tom Waits, like Tom Waits production, but like I said, the 8-Bit Bros like influence on a lot of the percussion. I think is really cool. Again, I think there's some tracks that could be cut. What's the enemy? It doesn't go anywhere. It's just that same
touching the enemy. I like that one.
Electric. It's just that same part though the whole time. By the end, I'm just like that literally progressed in no way. That's cool. I like
that one as a bridge from Goldfinger to Burn, but yeah, I get you.
A lot heavier than I remember too. It's a pretty heavy album. I really liked how different it was in their catalog. Like I said, I don't necessarily get the vibe that it's everything TUBRING did, because I feel like it's something so new to the TUBRING sound with the electronic vibe, and it felt like another progression more than Zoo Hypothesis. I feel is more linear, but to me, like that does incorporate more. Like we talked about, there are some of those chaotic sounds, and there are some of the heavier, more straight punk sounds. To me, that one almost does that more than this. Again, who am I? Like, I'm not going to tell the dude he's wrong. You wrote the songs. This is his band. But me listening to it, I don't look at it that way. But yeah, I was very surprised like how much I enjoyed this. So it made me happy we're doing this, because now, it's like, cool, I will revisit this album.
And I don't think this one took as long to grow on me as the Gray Filter. I've revisited it more times than you. It definitely has some of my favorite tracks. I think that helps, like, Burn and Chronic Love Song and things like that. But yes, many tracks like you're mentioning, where at first I was like, and then, they definitely grew on me over time. And I do like the album as a whole. Again, for me, it's probably, 4 or 5 in the middle.
Yeah, it's around there too.
Great album. I'm glad it exists. But then again, I was sorry to cut you off earlier. Again, we were starved for 7 years. I waited every day. I checked online. I refreshed their website. And then I totally missed the Kickstarter. They did a Kickstarter for a greatest hits album, if people don't know. And apparently that was so successful. And even though I'm on Kickstarter all the time, totally missed it, that they made a whole album out of it. And that is Choice of Catastrophes. You have it right there.
Well, here's the greatest hits vinyl.
Oh, you got the greatest hits vinyl.
Yeah, which is awesome. It's just so cool to have like TUBRING on vinyl.
And they hadn't done a vinyl. I think that was the point. They were like, oh, let's get some of our stuff out on vinyl. Let's do something fun. And how they didn't know that they had, a million rabid fans or so just waiting was awesome. So they were like, let's do a whole freaking album. Let's bring in Mike Gilmore from the Drake Equation and all of our buddies, and to me, that was really cool. Like, oh gosh, we actually,
Well, did you hear why they made the album though? Like how it worked out, why it was a full album?
I did not. Or I did. I'm sure I did in their discussion, but I forgot.
Originally, it was just going to be like a couple songs and pretty low key, almost like what's the first track on this? There was pretty much just them.
Yeah.
But they came $1,000 short of the full goal of doing the live show.
Mhm.
So then they got to use all that extra money and flesh out this album, make it a full album with full band. So they said if we would have hit that mark and done the live, we probably wouldn't have this be the album wouldn't have been what it was because we would have used all that money for the live show.
Oh, that's cool. I do remember them saying that they had the funds,
cool.
but I didn't know they were going to do a live. I thought they said they were done with live shows.
Yeah, no, they fell short. Yeah, by just a little bit. They're like us getting that close, but not hitting it allowed us to use the money for this. I was like, that's really cool.
And I know we've talked about this album before, but for the record's sake, very excited once I found out it existed. It starts off very hot with another great intro track in Time for Me. It feels like literally the lyrics say, it's great to be back. It felt like they were excited to be back in the studio. It felt like it was definitely that later era, like you've mentioned and Rich has mentioned many times. They're leaning into the electronica, not as many, full band tracks, but this is a full album. And even though they kind of, I don't want to say threw it together, it wasn't supposed to be. I felt like maybe that spontaneity helped because there's so many tracks that I just love. This album is so close to being my number 2 or maybe even number 1. Again, I think those top 3 could switch. I put this one at 3, but I think the only thing that takes this down is they did too many covers. I know at least 2 were chosen by fans, and I believe that was Prison Kunsenized.
No, that was TUBRING. That's why in the liner notes apparently it says chosen by TR.
Okay, I appreciate that because I knew one of them was chosen. I thought they chose Remember the Time, but Rich was asking me. So the fans chose Remember the Time, and I know they chose Secular Haze.
Secular Haze, yeah.
And those are the two of the tracks that are some of the few TUBRING tracks that I skip or don't look forward to, or like, hey, I want to get to the next part. I felt like this had one too many covers. Prison Kunsenheisen Tuzel is amazing cover. I was actually a little disappointed to find out they didn't make the song, that it was a cover, because I was like, what the hell are they doing? But it's an awesome cover, one of the best covers of any songs ever, and one of their best. And then this one again has an amazing closing track in Leaving, which felt like they were signing off, but they said, no, we're not. We just kind of felt like the theme of the album with apocalypses and catastrophes and things like that theory. So that was meant to tie in with that, but it felt like if this was the end of their career, I was like riding high. I know you and I have talked privately about this album to death, but I just love that this exists, that they kind of came back and gave us a 10 out of 10 album again, maybe a 9 out of 10 because of those covers, but I'm not going to take it away because the highs of the album are so high that I still think it's a great album start to finish.
Rich, don't talk yet. Everyone just sit here and be in silence. Don't hear about this, but I'm going to grab one last beverage.
Oh gosh, I guess I will too. You're back, Rich.
The funny thing about this, with them saying don't talk because they're going to grab beverages, is I don't really have anything to say about this album. It's the one that I've listened to the least. I can't, like, aside from the one cover I knew, couldn't pick anything out. Get disappointed, everybody. Look at me.
Okay. You can talk. I'm allowing it, which is so shitty.
It's fun. No, it's I was just telling, I don't know who's watching this, but this is the album I have the least to say about because it's the one that I've listened to the least. It's these last 2 albums they put out. I didn't listen to either of them as they were released. For the first time, I listened to them this week. So I remember I have it as my 6th best and 6th like, which is above the last one. But again, it's something that I just listened to this week, and I'm trying to go through it. And I tried to like go in and highlight songs that I'm like, oh, these are ones that I want to like remember are on these albums, so I can kind of like, oh yeah, that was the one that I remember. And I got nothing. Like, I remember the time, I know that song, right? And the rest of everything else I can't. Like, and proper funds is weird because of like the vocals that are on there. And then the rest of it, like, yeah, I'm just blanking on all the rest of it. So it's like I got nothing to add to this conversation about this album.
That's fair. Impress your creator. Did anyone check, like, Spotify is good to check stream numbers. Had anyone checked like their top track stream numbers? It doesn't make sense. Oh,
No.
John, I didn't see John was gone. He was blocked by my notes.
I'm gonna say it all again.
I can. It was quick. I don't have anything to say about this album. It's my number 6 and 6.
So interesting.
I've never heard it before this week. I've listened to it the 5 times this week, but it kind of, when you listen to 7 albums of one band nonstop throughout the week, it all just kind of like blends into nothing. So I'm looking, like I was telling Jim, I'm looking through the track listing. I'm like, I couldn't tell you what any of these songs are,
that's
except
so
for
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. But
and I just brought up, John, have you looked at the top tracks on Spotify and stream numbers?
Yeah. Why is Impress Your Creators there?
Dude, not even like 6 million, and the next is what, 100,000?
It's a funny song, but I'm like, why have all
there was a bunch of like animations done on YouTube for it as the best I can figure. I was looking, I was like, it has to be on a movie or like a soundtrack or something. Right. No, like it was just that, and people liked it. Like that band
you introduced me to recently, Beach House, like they had one that went viral on TikTok, so it got like
10 recently, which is, I mean, that's so wild. Like that band made millions on this album that they recorded like 10 years ago because TikTok kicked off the amount of streams.
And
like,
I hope
cool is that to wake up one day and be like, cha-ching.
And I love the song Impress Your Creators. They do a similar kind of silly song on the newest album, talking about the same theme, but that's such an odd one for people to know TUBRING for. But I hope they're making a lot of money off Spotify.
I love that song. I think it's fantastic.
It's so cool. Again, they're leaning into this. They're just having fun, it's like a weird, fun song that you wouldn't think. And at first I was like, why, with the masked voice and everything. But then it's just, you're like, that's really funny. Like it's somebody reading their hostage letter or whatever.
That's what that. So yeah, this when I first heard it, I didn't know this was coming out, and John's like, you got to listen to it. And I was like, all right. I immediately loved the production. I think it's just like, it's a lot cleaner than anything they've done, a lot airier, and like, it's got a lot of space to it, and I really like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first one Rob recorded in his studio, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did it in his, and it was a full band. Like they had the full band there, and they all like contributed a ton. They all wrote parts, they all played parts. It was like everybody doing everything. Very much more digital, but I wouldn't compare it like 8-Bit Brothers digital, because that shit was like Secret Hands is like dirty and fucking dance. This is like EDM in a sense. Like there's a lot of covers. So one of the craziest things is having heard Secular Haze so many times and then getting into Ghost and hearing that song in one of their albums and thinking it was a TUBRING song, and it just it messed with my head so bad. And I was on the middle of a stream. I think we're streaming Sea of Thieves. It came out. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like it was bizarre. Like having that, like I had no clue because it just sounded like their song. So that was fun. That like I don't know if I've ever had that happen to that level where I was 100% confident this is a band song and being like,
I think you had to tell me it was a Ghost song. I didn't even know. I was wondering. I was like, okay, this one's a little odd, and then
I'm listening for it was on for a while, and I'm like, why do I? It took a while. Like it was just bizarre, and it like literally broke my brain for a while.
Which is cool that they did that on Kickstarter and fun, but maybe just do one next time. I don't know. Who am I to tell them what to do? But
remember the time is like I make fun of that song. That's the only one I would kick off this album. But for me, this is number one in the album I've listened to by them.
Number one with a bullet. Not
even close. How much more I've listened to this than any of their other albums, and still do. Even in writing this, I was writing my notes or just listening stuff, going over, researching. I'd put on a track and I'd just listen to the album. I listened to it a bunch more times just going through this. Or I'd be like, listen to the Great Filter. I'm like, nah. I adore this album. I think it's like,
I'm glad that you finally got your number one. It came at a good time. That's fine. It's a great album. I listen to it all the time too. It may actually be my number 1 or 2. But again, I just kind of hold that emotional reverence for Drake Equation. But so I definitely listen to this one probably the most too, just because it's the freshest. And I'm like, you know what, put it back on. And again, I love the opening and closing tracks. They're so good.
I just think it has their best songs in like great lyrics, great emotional depth where it's needed, and humor. It's like everything I love about it. It just feels like a lot more mature.
Yeah, a little sarcastic.
Like, would I have liked this album as much, 15 years ago when I was listening to Drag Equation? No. And that's kind of also what makes this one awesome, is that like I grew up with them and like they had an album that was exactly to my taste then, and they have an album that's exactly to my taste now.
I have to be honest, that might be why I'm so endeared to them, because I do feel like we grew up together and we were about the same age when they were making their mark. And it's, I think you're probably right about that. But it is funny to think, like, I think we said this with Primus when we talked about it. It would be funny if they came out in a different order. How would you feel? You know, obviously they couldn't, because, you know, their influences and everything changed, but it would be interesting if we reversed the order. Would we feel the same, you know?
Yeah. Like Without You might probably my favorite TUBRING song overall.
It's definitely my favorite on this album, and it's among the best. It's so good.
Yeah, it's just this whole, like I said, I just adore it. Other than Remember the Time, I just skip that. I just think it's too much, man. It's just too much.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't even sound. I'm sorry if TUBRING, if you're listening, we're sorry, but that was a misstep. It's even recorded strangely.
They originally they didn't have, again, they were going to do an EP, and
I get it.
Put these songs on there, and the people reached out and people said sure. I think Secular Haze
fits
in really well.
That's an amazing thing to donate to. That was probably fun for the backers. And
there's
nothing wrong.
I think Secular Haze fits in, and I've always loved that song on here, and I like the Ghost version too.
Do you know the story of the other cover?
Prison colon
Hides the Night Toozle.
Yeah, Kevin said he always liked the song, and he kind of thought about covering it, but he never brought it up. And apparently it was used on an episode of Fargo. And Rob was watching it, and he called Kevin. He's like, "Did you see that episode of Fargo? That song's amazing. I never heard it." And Kevin's like, "Yeah, I love that song. I wanted to cover it." So they're like, "Let's do it."
I had never heard it before, and again, didn't know it was a cover. Found the original version. If you don't know, Rich, it's a professor in Italy made a song that he wanted to sound like English. So the jumbled
it sounds like English without
it does, and it's so funny. And the fact that they picked it and they do just this amazing version of it is just so perfect.
It's literally all just gibberish, but it's supposed to like phonetically sound like English.
It's what an Italian thought.
In an Italian accent.
So this is a song that I actually one of the songs that I would listen to, that I pulled like the lyric version up on Apple Music, and I'm like, these aren't words. Is this Spanish?
I was like, what is he saying? And then I was like, oh, and then I Googled it, and I'm like, oh, it's a cover. And then the story is really funny, and it's a funny song.
It 100% works though. Like with that being the catalyst for making a thing, I'm like, oh, without question, I could listen to the song without looking at the lyrics and go, it's probably saying something.
It's so good.
It's probably words being saying there.
And the way they recorded it with kind of the blown out, horn sound, they did it perfect. They did amazing.
Except for stuff. Oh yeah, or whatever the one English.
Yep. That's
it.
Yeah. So good. But that brings us to the end. Again, we've already talked about the new album. If you're tuning in late, you got to go back and rewatch it.
Are you gonna? There we go.
Before we wrap up,
yes,
we must rank the most important thing in TUBRING. What are the best robot songs? You must rank them in order. There are 4.
Fun thing, that Greatest Hits album has them all together as a trilogy, and they're all Rob re-edited them, so they just flow together as one song.
That's great.
Not a quadrilogy. He left off?
Well, technically there's 5 or 6. Sorry, there's 6. So to get extra weird into it, I don't want to bring this up for us, like we don't have to get into this level of ranking, but he still does robot songs. Any new song that starts with RE, so Redacted and Reevaluate. Reevaluate is the robot coming back to life.
That's so funny, because I felt like they were, and I actually asked them on Instagram and they never answered. I was like, is there another robot song?
Yeah, he talks about that, and then Redacted. So anything with an RE will be, Reevaluate is the robot realizing that they want to come back.
That's awesome. I had that sense with that, and I asked them and they never responded. I was like, oh, so that's cool that you found that.
Again, Reevaluate's a great song.
I Googled, what are the robot songs? I tried to find it, but
I didn't want, like, when we were talking about, like, I'm like, we don't know. I'll just mention it. We don't need to go.
We'll rank the original quadrilogy. People can put in the chat what their favorite one is.
But
before you rank them, and I originally wrote off Requiem for a Robot. I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah.
TM teased me about it. Before you make your decision, I want to read you the translated words in English, because it's obviously a Latin he's speaking at the Requiem for the Robot. and I have it here
Obviously
in my phone.
Latin. It's obviously Latin.
I mean,
Rich.
obviously.
It's
I mean, or
obviously
Italian
Latin.
or something. Okay, so the translated words that he's saying is Lamb of God who takes away the sins of this world, and then it's not the real word for robot, but it's basically grant the robot eternal rest.
That's
So
neat.
Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, grant the robot eternal rest, which actually I had never known that before today, but it was kind of fun to look at. Well, what is he saying in this short one? But
No,
I feel like
that's cool.
that brings it up a little notch. They did a little.
It does, but it doesn't bring it up a whole level in the ranking. I don't know, but that is cool to know.
No, it's definitely number 4 for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But still very cool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. For sure.
And then the other ones, of course, for those following along at home, is I Am the Robot, which is on Drake Equation, Where's the Robot on Fermi Paradox, and Death of the Robot on Zoo Hypothesis. Despite Zoo Hypothesis being my favorite album, it is not my favorite robot song. I rank Death of the Robot number 3.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus Christ.
It's heavy.
I thought we'd be
awesome.
the same on this.
No, this was going to be our most.
No, I Am the Robot is number 3.
Okay, so Jim says I Am the Robot is number 3.
For me,
honestly, the throwback at the end on that one, maybe inches, like it's like that's actually 3.
Yeah, it does have the throwbacks. Love it.
my number 3 is Where's the Robot, actually.
We're all.
Yeah.
I thought we'd all be a little more similar. This is fun.
My number 2 is Where is the Robot?
Me too.
It's an amazing way to start their career, as far as I had heard them. Such a great song, comes out, really fiery. I love it. I love how it's recorded. I actually think that lends to the sound of that first track, but it's still number 2 for me. So obviously, what's number 1. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is I Am the Robot. To me, they're the two kind of pale in comparison to.
Yeah, Death Robot feels like such a complete song.
Yeah.
Whereas the other two are fun.
Yeah.
And they're quick. And the whole point, like the reality of these songs is they all follow the same format.
Yeah.
Where they're 4 bars, 4 bars, 4 bars, for however long, repeat once, done.
And then end with.
But like each 4 bars, different part, 4 bars.
There's a common ending at the end.
Part. Yeah.
I Am the Robot.
It's all like supposed to sound real jittery like that.
Yeah.
So in case people don't know.
Okay, so that would leave you with both with Death of the Robot.
Death of the Robot, yeah. I think to me, I was like, this is no brainer. It's not even close.
Oh, it's close.
I figured we'd all have that. Like,
and I Am the Robot has the bridge where he stops and he goes,
yeah, it's neat. It's fine.
I am the robot. So
it's very good.
Yeah. It's very good. Does not make a full song.
Oh, it does. The bone, the skin, the circus doll begin, because that one feels like, where's the robot? Then the robot appears and he's awesome, but then he dies and it's sad, and I don't want that.
Yeah, but then reevaluate, he comes back. So hey, man,
well, now that you mentioned that, we're gonna have to come back again with this new knowledge. I
do the whole thing over.
Feeling, like
all albums to get to the
cut this. I have that feeling too, and I wish they hadn't responded, but I'm glad you found it. But yes, both of those songs are also amazing, and I'm glad the robot. I hope it goes on forever. Yeah.
I will say this about that. I'll listen to all 4 of them. You put them back to back, I'm into it. Like I would only rate them because the rate was requested. Other than that, like they hold special places. And it's like, oh yeah, it does feel like markers of an era, right? It's like, here's what this is, here's where we are now, here's where we are now. All of them great, and all of them a wonderful like subconscious story if you're not paying attention to it, right?
Yep. And I love that part of it. Again, there's a lot of themes like this. If you enjoyed what we talked about now for an hour and 40 minutes, then you'll love TUBRING, because they do a lot of that. Again, including the robot songs are the most obvious callbacks to each other, and they're super fun.
Yes.
I was bummed when they didn't do one on Secret Handshakes, and I wish they had kept it going, all of them, but I'm glad to hear they snuck them in secretly, so that's cool.
I do really like I kind of love that they're split into those eras, right? To where it's like they have those first 4 albums that are all even just by album name, they're all kind of like extraterrestrial, like themed, and they all have the robot stuff. And then now you're saying that they're going into sci-fi novels. It's like, I do love a good band evolution.
Mhm.
And apparently the later evolution includes kidnapping, things like that. I don't know why.
Well, TUBRING is a great example of a band that has been almost a perfect version of an evolution of a band.
Like the robot.
Like the robot. There's a through theme sonically of that band, and it does, like, there you can listen to Drake Equation, you can listen to the newest one, you can go, yeah, this is the same band, and nothing and even stuff like On the Great Filter, which is probably they're most obviously different. It like there's elements of that you're like, yeah, like there's this. And even if you want to get down to like the nittiest of gritties, like melody and vocal, like it's from the beginning to the end. It's always been there. And but like it's fascinating to watch the instrumentation evolve, and then like however they want to take that, like that project, it has that through theme, and it's I don't know.
Absolutely.
So many
and
bands,
I think that's like what Jim said, where that if that's a no go for you, then Kevin really is the through line for all of it.
Yeah, and but like even put like having that mentality to be able to like get past that and see, like, to appreciate a melody's melody, right? Like, but it's even if you don't like the way his voice sounds, like the way that the continuous melody can be carried, I think is universal to anyone who is interested in music. But like these past 3 days, it's like, fuck, man, they've kind of done whatever they wanted to, and it doesn't sound dramatically different from what they were doing in the beginning. It's like clearly there's different influences and there's different eras, but like you can listen to something on Drake Equation and you go, yep, and you can listen to something newest one and go, yep,
Yeah.
that's the same. The soul of the band is still there, and it's been there since the beginning, or at least since that recording. I don't know anything
For sure.
before that.
Yeah,
it's kind of astonishing that, like,
well, they were saying how when they did Toys Catastrophes, they were really worried that it wouldn't be there, but
Yeah.
they were like, hey, it is cool because
Yeah.
it'd been so long.
Yeah.
Which that was both their number 2, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was Kevin's number 1. No, the Zoop Hypothesis was his number 1. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because that's correct.
Interesting. It's such an interesting conversation. I'm
close, man.
Again, I feel like emotionally, I feel like
I wouldn't argue it.
This is one of the bands that connects me to you, Jim. I feel like I didn't know that you hated them so much, but
like I said, I'm writing and going through them like, I do like these guys, right?
Sometimes when you sit down and analyze it, maybe sometimes you go a little too far. Maybe
yeah. And like I don't ever just dedicate just like going through all of their shit. I'm in the mood for it. I'll put one of them on or some of them on. And like I said, there was 2 that I just never checked out on. But also, like I said, Choice Catastrophes is like the album I've listened to the most over the last 5 years. So
absolutely, which is, again, it's so cool. 20 years after they started, that they found the right sound.
Yeah.
For you. And again, that's one that, again, really on any given day could be number 1 or 2 for me. That Drake and Zoo Hypothesis, I circle back and forth on, but for now it's Zoo Hypothesis. It's down in YouTube forever. It can never change. But
yeah, that was the whole reason why To Last and First Men, why I was like extra, I think, harsh on it. Like I was saying, like I went into it pretty high. Like
I could see that,
and I was high.
I
like that's just like I had a lot of expectation and bias going in.
Yep. I felt the same way going to Great Filter, and I feel the same way about it could never get a fair shot because, man, did they come back.
Could have if it sounded
disappointing,
better, man.
Rich, but again, Rich.
The songs were there, dude. The songs were there. That's the sad part about that album, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like it had the chance.
It's close. It's still, I think, a good, and again, I hope they continue until they're 80 years old. They continue to, we'll come back around in the next 7 albums and talk about it again. But I'm so glad that they exist again. I wouldn't really change all but maybe one track that we talked about. I like their history. I like that it's all there. And again, they're one of my favorite ever. So I'm happy to talk to my favorite people about it. And now we're out of bands that we can all unite on. So we'll never talk to each other again. Good night, everybody.
There's got to be somebody else. There's got to be.
No, I'm sure
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is. But maybe we don't need to overanalyze everything.
There's a lot that I don't think people would go with. Like I was telling Rich, I want to do something like this, but I'm going to do some solo because I like doing this. But I want to do bands that folks aren't going to go there on the whole thing. Like a big one I want to do, and I want to do modern bands in stuff that I haven't lived a lifetime with. Like there aren't many like that. Like Gary is one I want to do and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a lot quicker and not. It wouldn't make sense to have a bunch of people.
No, and again, a big part of music for me is the social aspect, all this stuff. So I just appreciate your guys' time and talking about it. It's a band I love, and now we have many other bands that we've connected through, but this is one I felt like kind of connected me to my peer group. And again, they're from Chicago, so that's a big part of it. There's
like
not
you
enough
talked
people talk
about.
about it.
I mean, how many bands realistically have we listened to that came out with albums when we were in high school or just out of high school and still have albums that are relevant coming out now or
tough.
fairly
I don't
recently?
think people know that. You're talking about 30 years of making music. That's a tough challenge. And
I mean, I wouldn't part of me is like, oh, Macabre, but I wouldn't want to. I checked out on them,
Yeah, no. There's some duds in there.
Yeah. I would do it, but I wouldn't have the same level of enthusiasm. I just wouldn't.
The next one should be your top 3 acid bath songs.
We could do that.
That'd be a fun one. Yeah, acid bath is a bit easy too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Thanks for making it easy for us.
I mean, that's a band that like we will all be revisiting and witnessing live for the first time in December, right? So it's and it's I know Jim hasn't watched any of it or not enough of it, but like they've posted their set list is the same, and they've posted there's a lot of versions, and I'll tell you this, that set is maybe not what you're thinking it's going to be.
I've heard it's a lot. So. People are saying it's a lot lighter, and I'm like, I'm happy with that.
It's like
again, they're one of those bands. They could go up there and play any song in a bit.
And I get dude can't scream for fucking that long every night. So I was fully expecting, So
I wasn't expecting it to be as light as it actually is, but like
cool.
which I'm the set list I'm 100% fine with. There are songs I would like to see live, but like. I mean, I had the opportunity, 20 years ago.
Like one time. They were only around for like 4 years.
Yeah, they didn't tour a lot off the.
But
I have one question: do they play Venus Blue?
Yes,
Venus Blue.
Cool. I'm good then.
That's all I need to know. I'm trying to go in blind. I didn't look at the set list or watch any of the live videos.
Yeah, I don't look specific. I've heard something about it.
So, but I'll tell you this: it'll be. I think that'd be an interesting conversation to have after that show, because of
dude. Let's record it there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. What are you doing?
What do you think about this one, dude? This one's fucking rules.
I got my eargasm earplugs. Well, we're gonna sign off on that note. We can continue to talk. Good night,
do
internet.
it on TikTok. People want to hear this.
Everyone does.